since 2013, should become operational in 2020. China's recent naval modernization has raised eyebrows in the Pacific and globally, as China ignores international law, builds and militarizes artificial islands in the South China Sea, and threatens and bullies its neighbors. See how China's aircraft carriers stack up to other carriers worldwide. So far, little is known of China's new carrier, which is known only as the Type 001A. It will take years of sea trials and practice to develop it into a fully functioning carrier. As it stands, there are most likely US Navy pilots with about as many carrier landings and takeoffs as the entire Chinese Navy. The carrier will field an enhanced S-band radar and a reconfigured island, or the tower on top of the main deck. The new deck will allow the Type 001A to accommodate more aircraft, as Uzny News reports. The Soviet style of carrier, which Russia and China still use, has a different purpose than the US's flat-top carriers. Instead of being a truly global strike carrier, these carriers make more sense for coastal defense. Over the past 4 years, China's People's Liberation Army Navy has had to build up carrier operations from nothing. It has never operated an aircraft carrier, so it faced a steep learning curve. The Lining launches planes off a ski jump style deck because it lacks the catapults that US carriers have. This means the J-15 Flying Shark aircraft that take off from the Lining or the Type 001A can't carry as much fuel or as many bombs as the US's carrier-based planes can. This greatly limits their range and effectiveness in combat. But while the planes must travel light, the Lining and the Type 001A boast heavy arsenals of their own. The Admiral Kuznetsov, which the Lining and to some degree the Type 001A are based on, was Russia's sole aircraft carrier. The ships have the same size and speed, and they both feature the ski jump platform. The Kuznetsov, which carried out its first combat deployment in the Mediterranean bolstering the Syrian regime in 2016, has a troubled past plagued with mechanical difficulties. Everywhere it sails, a tugboat accompanies it in case it breaks down, as was the case in 2012. China's southern neighbor India operates 2 smaller aircraft carriers with a third in production, but they are more reliable. In 2014, the Lining experienced unexpected power failures while at sea. China's eastern neighbor Japan has smaller helicopter destroyers, or flat-deck carriers that sport helicopters and short or vertical takeoff aircraft as well as heavy armaments and missiles. But Japan has a trick up its sleeve. It recently launched a larger class of helicopter carrier, the Izumo class. Soon, these carriers will support the F-35B Marine variant, which experts expect will provide unprecedented dominance in air and sea. But the US is the world's undisputed king of carriers. The USS Abraham Lincoln, one of the US Navy's 10 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, is larger and carries more planes than the Lining or the Type 001A, and it features catapults to launch heavier planes. US carriers boast nuclear-powered cores, so they can sail around the globe without being refueled or relying on tankers. But China reportedly does have plans to build a US-style carrier with catapults, which could enable it to be more competitive with US carriers.